guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video we'll be looking at the Python loop. Okay, so all this while our code has been executing just once. So we actually need a situation whereby the code will be able to execute maybe a multiple of time or a particular number of time depending on what we want. So it can be done using the Python loop. So you're going to create a loop, and then your code will be able to execute in that loop. All right, so a loop in Python are control structures that allow you to repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a certain condition is true of a specific number of iteration. Okay, so you might want to create an iteration that, okay, you want this to execute for 10 iterations or 20 iterations, or it will execute as long as the code is running. So if our softwares that we make use of doesn't use the loop, so you see that you will not be able to do anything. Once you open the software, it will go up, but the software will be waiting for you to click the keyboard, press the mouse, do this, do that. So it's actually executing that in an iteration, in a loop, so waiting for a particular condition so that it can actually exit and or do some other things. So there are basic two loops supported in Python. So those loops are the for loop and the while loop. Okay, so this is the flow diagram of a loop. Okay, so now your code execution continues and comes the condition. Once the condition is true, it's going to execute the conditional block. That is the block of code for that particular loop. Comes back, executes the loop, the condition, goes back to the code, execute the condition. But once the condition is false, it leaves the loop. So this is how a simple loop works in Python. So let's go over the loops that we'll have. We'll have the for loop, the second is the while loop. So we're going to be starting with the for loop. So the for loop is used to iterate over a sequence such as a list, tuple, string, or range, or other iterable. Okay, so you can actually use for loop to iterate over an iterable. An iterable in Python is an object that you can actually iterate over, just like your list, your tuple, your string, and range. All right, so just as we can actually see in this example here, this is a list and it is an iterable. When you now pass it to this for loop, you'll be able to iterate across its content one after the other. So what we're going to do is we'll hop over the spider IDE for us to actually see what the loop is all about. Okay, so let's say for instance we have a string name and we'll say is equals to Emeka. All right, so and I want to iterate here and probably print the letters one after the other. So to do this, I can use the for statement. I will say for. So I'm going to create a variable to be holding these values one after the other as I'm iterating across it. Okay, so this is a string which is character. So I'm going to create a variable to hold this character. So I can say, I can call the variable n, and I'll now say in name. All right, so what happened here is I am iterating here and I'm storing each character here in n. So I can easily say print n. Okay, and let me execute this code now. All right, you can say we have Emeka. So what happened here is in the first loop is going to pick e will be in n. So as it is iterating, it has actually gotten the length and it will only iterate for a number of the length of Emeka. This is how a simple for loop works. Okay, I can use it to iterate across a string. I can also iterate across a list. Okay, let's say I have a list of names here, and the list of names is equals to, we'll have Nkechi, we'll have Emeka, we'll have Ifeanyi, we'll have we'll have Ngozi. Okay, so we're going to iterate across these names here now. So what we're going to say here is, we'll say for name in names. I can easily say print name. So what we are doing here is we are using this name to hold each of these names that are inside this list. Okay, so and if we print it, we'll be able to say this is, we got Nkechi, we got Emeka, we got Ifeanyi, and we got Ngozi. So this is just the simplest way you can actually use the for loop to iterate across uniterables like the string, the list, the tuple, or any other iterable. So this is one of the ways you can use the for loop. So another way is, let's say you actually want to print a particular range of number. You can you might have an assignment, say print from 1 to 10. Okay, so you can actually use the for loop to do that. So what you do is you say for I in, so we want to print between a range, so we are going to use the range function. We're going to use the range function to create a range. So we want to print between 1 to 10. We can say 1 to 10. And we can easily say print I. So we would see what happens here. So we would see what happens here now. So if I try printing this now, you see we got 1 to 9. We got 1 to 9. So I want you to understand how this range function works. Okay, so what happens here is this range is being used to create a range of number. Okay, so I just created a range between 1 and 10, but it could not actually print the 10th value here. So I'll have between 1 and 11. So between 1 and 11 will now be giving me 1 to 10 because it doesn't print the last number. Okay, so I created a range here and I am iterating across that range, and I was able to print 1 to 10 on the console. So I can do 1 to 100. I'll say 101, and when I run that, you see that I have from 1 to 100 here. Look at it, I have from 1 to 100. So you can actually print a particular range of number on the console using the for statement. It's very, very simple. So this is how you can actually use the for statement. Now, coming back to what we did here now, okay, I might actually want to be printing this list with the index. Maybe I say Nkechi is index 0, Emeka is index 1, Ifeanyi is index 2, Ngozi is index 3. So it's actually very simple to do. So I will actually show us how you can do that. So printing each of these, and I'll be getting the index. Okay, so how you can do that is by simply iterating through this using this method. So you can say for name in names. Okay, you say for name in range. You now say 0 to length of names. All right, now I want to explain what is happening here. All right, so what happens here is the value I'm going to get here. You know that when you say length of name, you're actually returning how many number of variables that are in name. So what is going to return here is how many variables that are here. So we'll have 4 variables inside this list. So it's going to return 4 here. So we're using this range to now iterate between 0 and 4. And then if we now want to print the index and the value, we can now say print I, comma, then I'll now say names I. So what happens here now will now be, you are now printing the index. Okay, sorry, what I have here is name, not I. So I say name, names. So what this is what I use to pick the index. So this is what I use to pick the index. All right, so what happens here is this length returns the number of variables in this list, which is 4. Now, this range is now being used to iterate between 0 and 4. So what we are actually getting is a number. So the first iteration, it will get 0, and we'll print that 0, and then we'll pass that 0 as an index to the name. So we are going to get Nkechi. The next one is 1, we're going to get Emeka. So that is how you can actually iterate across a list, getting the value and then the index number. So when we have this, we'll have something like 0 is Nkechi, 1 is Emeka, 2 is Ifeanyi, and 3 is Ngozi. So we were able to do this now. But Python provides an easy hack for you to actually do this. You don't need to go through this stress here. So what you have to do is to say for I, comma, name in enumerate, you now pass names. So this is what happens here. So this first variable now is the count, okay, and then this is now the value inside here. So this I now keeps track of how many times this iteration was gone over. Okay, so if it goes the first time, it will count 1, it will count 0. The second time, it will count 1. Third time, it will count 2 until it will be able to go through this iteration. Are you with me? And then this name holds the value. So you can easily say print the number of iteration and then the name. So when we will now print this, we'll be getting the same thing we'll have up here. So let me actually create a new line here. Let me say print all right, so okay, so you see that what we have here is same as what we have here. Okay, so this is the easy hack that you can actually run this. Instead of going through this long process, you use the enumerate function. So the enumerate actually does this for us. So it returns the count and then the value, and you'll be able to print it comfortably. So this is all for the for statement. Then another thing, let's say you actually want to create an endless loop in your code. Okay, you want your code to continue running, or maybe until you actually maybe tells the code to break. You can easily say for, and in parentheses you say true. So any code you have in this under here now, so any code you have under here is going to keep executing. Once it's finished executing, it will start again. It will keep executing for as long as it has not encountered a loop break statement, but it will continue to do what to execute. So this is how you can easily create an end result. This is not in a parenthesis, so I simply just say true. It shouldn't be in a parenthesis, just like this for true. Okay, and this will continue to execute. So this is just all we need about the for statement. So we're going to go over the why statement. Okay, so the while statement, just like the first statement, it executes a block of code as long as a particular condition is true. Its syntax is also very straightforward. It's pretty straightforward, just like this. So we are going to hop over the spider ID to see what we have on the while statement. So I'm going to create a new file here. So let's say I want to iterate across a number, rather let's say from 0 to 10. So I can have the count as a count is equals to 0, and I'll now say y count. Y count is less than 10. And inside here I'll do what? I'll print count, and I'll now say count plus equals to 1. Okay, so this is what happens here now. So I have created a value whereby I said it is 0, and I am now iterating. So as long as this variable here as long as this variable is less than 10, continue to execute this. So as long as it is less than 10, but once it is equals to 10, this loop will break. So let's run the code. You see I was able to print 0 to 9 as long as this is less than 10. But if I say less than or equals to 10, then it will be able to execute the 10th time, because I said, okay, also execute when this is equals to 10. So this is the simple hack about the while loop and then the for loop. So I believe that we'll learn a whole lot from this class today. So if you have questions, gather them and then get to the comment section. Thank you for having me in this class. Meanwhile, keep coding. See you in the next class.